What is up, you guys? Welcome to Severance. Today we are talking about habits and why they are hard to change, in particular, bad habits. Let's take, for example, a junk food addiction. You know that junk food is bad for you. You know that you are indulging too much. You find yourself on autopilot, ordering and consuming junk food. Now, you would like to stop that habit, but you find it extremely difficult to do so. And every time you make the intention to stop, you end up collapsing and going back to your old habit. Now, why is that? Well, turns out there's a reason. And the reason is your nervous system. You see, your nervous system takes care of a lot of things without your conscious involvement within it. It automates a lot of your daily life tasks as well as bodily operations. And even though a lot of these operations or tasks are on autopilot, they have been in place as a result of habituation, habits that you've instilled into your nervous system early on in your life. Now, these habits are instilled through one mechanism, and that is repetition over time. The more the repetitions and the longer the time period, the more instilled the habit is, and the more on autopilot it is when your nervous system acts upon it. So, let's say that you started eating junk food at the age of 7. Now you're 37 and you haven't stopped eating junk food across 30 years. Your nervous system is habituated through repetition over 3 decades to let you consume junk food. It's habituated to the high calories, it's habituated to the high salt, sugar, and fat. It's habituated to the ease and convenience and effortlessness of ordering and consuming junk food. It is habituated through repetition over time that junk food is what sort of fuel you sustain yourself upon, and that anything else isn't really appealing. So, keeping that in mind, then, it's not about discipline, it's not about having a new habit in place, it's not about having a diet, it's about understanding the underlying mechanism that's at the root cause of your habit, and that's your nervous system. Think of your nervous system as a computer that you can program. You can program for good habits or you can program for bad habits. If you've programmed it for bad habits for a long time, it's going to be hard to change that programming. Not impossible, but it is difficult. This is why when people have addictions, like an addiction to junk food, and they try to break that addiction, through the process they often relapse. And they relapse because the nervous system is on autopilot because of that old programming. And having to rewrite a new program for a good habit, like let's say eating steamed chicken breast and broccoli, has not had enough repetitions over enough of a long time frame relative to the junk food habit to program the nervous system. And the truth of the matter is, even when you do instill the new programming of the good habit, like eating steamed chicken and broccoli, it's almost near impossible to completely get rid of the old programming. There's always gonna be this residual programming left. And that has to do with the fact that when you come out of the womb into the world, assuming you're healthy, you're born with the factory setting, meaning everything is perfect, operating out of the box as it's intended. Then as you go through life, you learn one bad habit after the other. And you end up spending more time in some of these bad habits, which ends up programming your nervous system and then makes your bad habit operate on autopilot. So, understanding this, what's the solution to changing bad habits then? The solution is to instill new good habits through repetition over a long enough time to replace the programming of the bad habit within your nervous system until your nervous system operates the good habit on autopilot and by default. This, I hate to break it to you, is not easy work and is going to take time, effort, and conscious intention. And the key word here is intention, because without intentionality, you won't be able to break that auto-programming of your nervous system. And the reason I say intention matters a lot is that if you've ever tried dieting before, if you've ever tried following a program and being disciplined, you find that a lot of these things are not enough. And the reason for that is the idea behind a diet or a system or a program or even discipline is that you write it down on paper, you follow it to the T, and then shut your brain off and just follow that on autopilot. The problem is that the diet, the program, and the discipline technically are external to your nervous system. But any habit you have on autopilot is internal to your nervous system. And this is why it's not just enough to write a diet plan and follow it, because you will relapse once your nervous system goes into full autopilot mode, which is why I emphasize you have to be consciously intentional, meaning that you have to be aware within the moment of your actions and your behaviors, and you have to be intentional about them, meaning that for every waking moment, you are making a decision and choice intentionally to behave in a manner that's counter to the behavioral pattern you've had in the past that built the bad behavior into your nervous system. So, intentionality is extremely important when it comes to reprogramming your nervous system for better habits. And like I said, this is difficult and it is challenging and it is frustrating because you'll find that your brain and your body will betray you. You will be consciously aware of your body acting against your will. And that's because your nervous system is on autopilot. It's already received this programming. It's not looking for direction or input or intake from you. And this has survival benefits for the obvious reasons. However, when it comes to building good, solid habits that allow you to live a fulfilling and successful life on your terms, a nervous system on autopilot is not a good thing. because then it starts to feel like an inescapable destiny, that you're destined to have no control over yourself or your actions or your behaviors, and that's who you are and the way you are, which is not the case. So that's the difficult and challenging part about changing your habits to the better. The good news, as I've stated earlier, is that it is doable. You can change your habits. You can reprogram your nervous system. And again, the secret, which is not really a secret, is that you decide on a new habit and you repeat it continuously over a long enough timeline to instill that new programming. And eventually, on a long enough timeline, that habit goes on autopilot. And for the most part, not entirely, but for the most part, replaces the old habit. And then your nervous system starts acting in your best interest again. And the beauty of this is that for those of you that believe that change is not possible, that destiny is manifest, especially if it's bad and you're stuck with it, I'm here to tell you that changing your nervous system by changing your pattern of behavior through repetition over time will help you change your manifest destiny. If you want to change your junk food habit and you want to eat healthy, feel more energized, and feel better about yourself, stronger, smarter, leaner as a result of your dietary choices, and you don't want to feel that you're on autopilot where your nervous system kicks in during moments of low consciousness and lack of intentionality, like a stressful event where you find yourself automatically reaching out to junk food, I'm here to tell you it's doable. You can make the change. Focus on the root cause and understanding why your habit is there in the first place. And I'm telling you, it's your nervous system. You underestimate what your nervous system is capable of. So spend some time understanding it, how it works. If you've went to school, I'm sure you've had a little bit of education around sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system. You may have forgotten about these things over time, or back then because you were still a child that just wanted to play rather than sit in a boring biology class. You never really thought about the practicality and pragmatism of that information on your day-to-day life. However, now you know that the challenges you're facing with adopting new behaviors and new habits, or if you feel even that your lot in life, your destiny is, let's say, to be unfulfilled, unhappy, unaccomplished, for example, I'm telling you right now, this all has to do with your nervous system. Fix your nervous system, you fix your habits, and you change your destiny eternally. Okay? If this concept seems a bit esoteric or woo-woo or, let's say, ungraspable, let me ask you something. What's the alternative? You've tried everything. You've tried the diets. You've tried the programs. You've tried abstaining. Might as well try something that you may not have been aware of. Something that will truly and surely change your destiny. And I use here the example of junk food, but you could apply this to anything. If you want to work out and you don't want to work out most of the time and you feel lazy or you feel tired, it's about building that new habit. It's about going to the gym when you don't feel like it, putting in that repetition of going over and over and over time until the gym becomes a habit that runs on autopilot, otherwise also known as routine. You see, your habits build your routines. And to have a routine, it means that it's something you do with very little thinking. It's part of what you do day in, day out, but your routine is really part of your identity. And the reason it's part of your identity is because it's programmed into you. And you may not have thought about it this way up until this moment, but you made a conscious, intentional choice to pursue behaviors and habits that led to this routine that became automatic, that's embedded within your nervous system and part of your identity. And really, to truly have this change take place, aside from consciously, intentionally pursuing behaviors and habits that through repetition over a long period of time will program your nervous system, the easiest way to do this is to identify with those behaviors and habits and routines. You look at yourself and you tell yourself, this is who I am. I am not the guy that eats junk food. I am the guy that eats steamed chicken and steamed broccoli. Identity is such a powerful driver when it comes to choice of behaviors, choice of habits, and therefore the programming of your nervous system. Because identity is one of those things that you consciously and intentionally choose. So, if you really struggle with consistency of behaviors, of building the good habit to program your nervous system, one of the easiest ways to achieve this is to create a new identity. I'll go as far as saying is that if you need to create an alter ego, go ahead and do it, okay? The whole point of an ego is to act as a defense mechanism. Most people's egos act as defense mechanisms for bad habits or things that are so painful that people can't face and they'd rather avoid, so they create the ego as a shell to protect them from that hurts. So why not create an alter ego that protects your identity, your positive identity that you want to identify with? That ego will be so ruthless in protecting your identity as the guy or gal that eats steamed chicken and steamed broccoli. Now think about that. That's the power of identity. And the thing about identity is, it really is mind over matter. Behaviors and habits are more actionable, so they're matter over mind. But your identity is created in the eye of your mind. So it becomes mind over matter, where you act upon what you identify with. You manifest your identity. Because you believe in it so much, because you see it so clearly within the eye of your mind, you start taking actions that manifest that identity. Now, this can go really, really deep, but guys and gals, to summarize this upload, understand that to change your bad habits, at the root cause of a bad habit is your nervous system running on autopilot. In order to change the program, the bad programming, your nervous system is running on autopilot, you need a new program. The new program is shaped by good behaviors and good habits repeated over and over and over on a long enough time period until the new programming replaces the old bad programming. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to make sure that your behaviors and habits, the good ones, are consciously and intentionally chosen. And to facilitate this, the easiest way further to do this is to identify with those behaviors and habits by creating a new identity for yourself and going as far as creating an alter ego to protect that identity. So, the solution to a lot of your bad problems and what seems like manifest destiny that's inescapable lies within your nervous system. Change your nervous system and you'll change your future. Hopefully this has been helpful for some of you guys out there and has resonated with you. We'll be discussing more subject matter topics that help with self-improvement and allowing you to get the most juice out of life while you're here. So if that's the kind of content you enjoy, make sure to subscribe to this channel, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.